All team, give it everything you got!
It's time to fangirl flail with Fangirls Going Rogue.
Count me in.
I don't think there's anything more important in the Star Wars universe than the fans.
News, discussion, and commentary from the female point of view.
You call this a diplomatic solution?
No, I call it aggressive negotiations.
With your hosts, Teresa Delgado, Tricia Barr, and Sarah Woloski.
Boy, am I glad to hear your voice.
Strap in, because this is where the fun begins.
I like the sound of that.
On February 21st, 2022, Fangirls Going Rogue boarded the Star Wars Galactic Starcruiser at Walt Disney World for a trip to the galaxy far, far away. Each night, we recorded our impressions and shared tips and tricks we discovered on our adventure. This is our Night 2 recording. Please check our Night 1 recording for a complete picture of the experience. With that, I turn the episode over to host Teresa Delgado.
Hey, Yub Cubs, and welcome to day 2 of the Galactic Starcruiser. We are in our cabin after experiencing some amazing fireworks. We're just, that's not really a spoiler. They're just things outside, right? Sarah Woloski from Skywalking through Neverland. How are you doing?
Wow. I am just trying to combobulate everything that we just experienced in this short amount of time, and yet it seems like it was 4 days over the course of a day and a half, or it's insane.
And Tricia Barr from FANgirl Blog. Are you awake?
We all have a legitimate reason to be tired. This was a day, an adventure, a journey, a story, and we're kind of wrapping it up because I think tomorrow's just breakfast.
Yeah. And BJ Priester from FANgirl Blog. You don't seem tired.
Hi, everybody. I'm not that tired because I've been teaching an evening class from 7:45 to 9 p.m. 3 days a week this semester. So this is
party time?
This is party time. I'm good.
Would you guys compare this to, how would you compare it to a con? Because for me, when I compare it to a convention, but this is like a convention on steroids that's being thrown at you really fast. Because at least at a convention, you have time to relax.
Well, I think the only comparison to a convention is how much mental energy we're putting into this. But beyond that, it's not convention at all.
I think the energy you need is like a convention when you're willing to go anywhere and do anything at the moment, because, sometimes we really get stuck to our plans, and sometimes the things that are not planned are really cool. But I'm going to say, for advice on this adventure, that when they put the plan on your data pad, like little events and things, those are the things you should do. Kind of like reverse convention, maybe.
Yeah, it's interesting if you do this experience, there's 2 different kinds of events on your data pad. And this isn't spoiling anything because they explain this. You have white events and yellowish orange events. And the yellowish orange events are the ones that are specific to you and the path you have chosen for yourself. Whereas the white events are kind of like standard events that are occurring. So you want to check your data pad.
And I think pretty much with the whole team, we've all had a little bit different of an adventure.
A lot of it, yeah.
We've all experienced different things because we've all made different choices. So it's definitely sort of choose your own adventure, and somehow they all lead us to the same conclusion.
Yes.
Of the story.
Yes. And I do want to preface here that we are not going to go into any spoilers in the body of our discussion, but at the end, we'll announce a little spoilery thing and go into it if you're into that.
We'll talk about things that you would know from publicity that Lucasfilm and Disney Parks have put out there into the places. We're going to try to give you some tips. If you haven't heard our episode on day 1, we have tips and insights there. So we're just trying to get a flavor. And especially if you're not sure if this is something you wanted to do, maybe it would help. And maybe we should go around and say, before you came, is it something that you would have put your dollars into before you came? Where did you stand? So Sarah?
Okay, yeah. So it was definitely something I really badly wanted to do, but was not going to do because that money was earmarked for, like, let's say, beautifying our house, things like that. So it wasn't enough of an experience that would entice me to do that versus something else.
Yeah, coming in, I was probably at like 5% chance that I would spend money on this. And now I'm at like 33% chance I'd be willing to pay to do it again. It'd have to be the right price, and it would have to be the right group of friends coming along. And, I wouldn't just do it to do it because it's an awful lot of money still. But it was fun enough this time that I could be persuaded to do it again, as opposed to no way would I do it again.
Right. And you went along and answered that second question, which I didn't answer. So, yes, after experiencing this, I want to go again. I think I would put down the money knowing how amazing this was. And I'm not being a shill. This was just an awesome experience.
Well, it's hard to quantify it when you just, you've just had people from the publicity discussions and the little short video. I mean, we talked yesterday that Gaia, the Twi'lek, we didn't really have a feeling of her, and I would say her show alone is sort of worth it. I definitely think, Sarah, your dinner theater analogy from yesterday is right on. That's sort of what the whole thing is. I have a lot of things that I want to do, and so they hadn't convinced me at that point that I should spend the money on something like that. How about you, Teresa?
I was kind of in the same place you were. The publicity that they've done, they definitely didn't convince me at all that it was something that I needed to do. And in our last episode, I was talking about the Wizarding World of Harry Potter, and I remember the marketing for that, and it was like, hell yes, I want to do that. So I think that's unfortunate. But for me, coming into it, I think I come from a little bit of a different place of being a Disney Vacation Club member, and kind of when I come to the parks, I don't, it's not that I spend a ton of money, but I'm not necessarily watching every dollar. And I'm also of the mindset with Disney that, prices are going to increase. There's been a lot of, issues and things that they've cut back on, obviously, because of COVID. And there's prices that are going to have to go up. I mean, it's just, to give the experience. And there's a lot of arguments about that with, with Disney parks and things like that. So when the pricing for this came out, I know everybody was kind of in sticker shock. And I think I was a little bit too. But what I said to myself several times is, if they're doing it right and they have the right experience, and when people come out of it, they talk about it that way, then maybe I'll do it. It would be something I would have to, you said plan into my yearly, travels that I do. And maybe that year I don't do a really long summer Disney trip instead, or whatever. So I would have to adjust. But my plan going into all of this before we even knew we were coming here was that if the reviews came out from people that were on it and real guests, and they said that it was super immersive, then I would give it a shot. So, but now after doing it, I need a new piggy bank or something, because I need to save some money, a lot of monies, because I want to come back.
It's hard because obviously we're invited, disclaimer, we're invited as media. This is an adventure we're getting to enjoy, for the return of a fair sharing of our experience. It's always been the relationship. And I would say that it's the one way it's hard because we have to try to cover things and document everything and try to be able to relay our experience. So I would love to one day maybe come back and not have to have that, responsibility of just kind of, if I want to pick up my phone and do it, or, take snapshots for the moment, but almost just kind of drop in and not have to be obligated to look through the lens.
Yeah, no, 100%. Because I feel that too. We do quite a bit of stuff where we are covering things for the first time, and our first experiences on them aren't a true experience because we're trying to make sure that we cover all the angles and that we get all the right shots and that we have everything that we need for an Instagram story or a reel or a post or a this or a that or whatever. And we sometimes forget to actually put the phones or the cameras down and actually experience it. And so it's always a balance, and it's hard, and we want you guys to understand what we're experiencing, and we just it's hard.
So let's frame a little bit. So yesterday, and we talk about this on our day one episode, it's setting the first act of your story. Like, who are the characters? What's kind of how we should sort of start to perceive the different actors on this journey. And then today, day 2 is your excursion day. So it would be like if you were on the cruise ship and they were taking you into port, you have a shuttle ride down to Batuu, and you're going to go on your adventure in Batuu. But I think for people, if you're coming and you want this to be the first time you see Batuu and you have to interact with the story, there's a lot of things going on that you may not get to kind of just look around Batuu. So, when you plan, if you've never gone and this is your first time, it's going to be a lot, because you're just trying to figure out where you're going and get to the places, but it's a lot.
And if I can honestly attest to that because, Sarah and BJ, you guys, and Tricia, all of you, everybody but me, lives close enough to a Disney park to be able to go as much as you guys want to go. And I was talking to Sarah while we were in Batuu, and I'm counting, and I'm yep, this is my 5th time on Batuu. And I mean, I know you guys probably have lost track of how many times you've been there. So for me, even though I've been here, it was still a lot because I haven't been here and I don't get to come here all the time. And so I'm trying to do the Halcyon things and also be in Galaxy's Edge. And it's
I also think my impression of this is they didn't, to clarify this point, they didn't intend this cruise to be someone's first experience in Batuu. It's not built to introduce you to Batuu. It can serve that function, but the story that they're doing with the characters on the Star Cruiser is all built around the Star Cruiser, and they've created some synergy with what they're doing on Batuu.
Some amazing synergy, actually.
Yeah, but they're not. I mean, you can go to Oga's Cantina, you can go to Droid Depot, you can ride the rides, and there's enough time in there, I guess, if you want to go to the marketplace and have go to the milk stand and all these other things. But I think a lot of people would be better off booking a day at Hollywood Studios before they do this cruise. First of all, you could go on all the other rides too, like Tower of Terror and Rock and Roller Coaster and Toy Story Land. But then you've seen Batuu, you have a sense of what you're going into, you've gotten to do the things you want to do there. Because one of the things we experienced today was there are things happening on Batuu and there are things happening on the Star Cruiser at the same time. And
you can't do
both. And so for us, it was easy call because we've been to Batuu so many times. It was easy to say, well, let's maximize our Star Cruiser experience because that's what we're here reporting on. But Other folks, I think, could feel really torn. If you go to Batuu at 9 in the morning and you come back at 4 p.m., which is how it's written into the schedule, you just missed a lot of potentially neat things you could have been doing on the Star Cruiser that you paid $5,000 for. So, and that's why I say I don't think it's really built around come on this cruise to experience Batuu.
Right. But I do have to say, though, for having gone to Batuu already, experiencing Batuu from the Star Cruiser is a VIP experience. It's freaking amazing. You are treated differently by the cast members because on your way to Batuu, right before you board the transport, they give you a special pin. And so the cast members recognize you. And also you get to walk on rides that are 135-minute wait or even longer. Yeah. And Teresa.
Yeah. So I've built a droid.
Yes.
Okay. I've never done Savi's lightsaber workshop of building my own lightsaber. I've never done that. And I was like, you know what? I want to do that this time. And I went and I asked passenger services, which is the Halcyon crew, if there was a way, because I looked into it on my own before we got here and it was completely booked up. Like there was no space at all. And when I talked to them, they said, okay. And they said, we'll get back in touch with you while we were running around. My phone rings and it says WDW or whatever. And I'm like, okay, so I answer it, and they're like, this is Chandrila Star Line, or is this Teresa Delgado? And I'm like, yes. And they said, we were alerted that you were interested in building a lightsaber, scrap metal, at Savi's workshop. And I was like, yes. And they go, well, we got you in at 11:05. We hope you have a great time. And I was just like, holy beep.
And talking from it, I've talked about my cruise experience going on some high-end cruises. That's their jobs. Concierges are supposed to get you the experience, and they know the people in the ports, and that's what they do. So true to cruising, I really appreciate that they kind of step it up and made that happen. We did have Droid Depot scheduled, and I'm guessing that you could pick that based on how we kind of set it up, that probably that's something you could get booked and do, but our return times on the rides were not set. We got waved in, and as a matter of fact, Rise of the Resistance was closed, and as soon as it opened up, we got right to the front of that ride.
Special secret entrance.
Yeah, we didn't just go in the lightning lane. They opened like doors that have never been opened before because it was like, and we
saw the backside of Poe.
Long-time listeners.
Poe's X-Wing.
We'll get that.
Yeah, we did though. Yeah. I don't know.
She can't even talk now.
I don't know. Okay, but wait.
Drink, I'm sorry.
Wait, there was something I wanted to comment on that BJ had said about going to Batuu before you go on the Star Cruiser, and I agree with that, with one caveat. Not the day before you go on the Star Cruiser. This is my tip that I think everybody needs to do. You need to have a day at a hotel where you are relaxing and chilling, going to the pool, having some good meals, just really giving yourself some calm time. Because once you get on the Star Cruiser, it is go, go, go. And by the time you're done on the Star Cruiser, you're going to be dead. So your day after you get off the Star Cruiser, you need a day of rest.
I think they're going to roll us all off from all the food we've eaten. They're just going to roll us off. We were at the little dessert party this evening after all the events, and Sarah and I were like, we want to eat this, but there's just no more room. No more room. So what else about Batuu excursions? One thing that I noted that I thought that is worth noting is how long it takes to get back and forth, and if there's ever a slower time. So It wasn't too bad. I think it took probably about an 8 to 10 minute to get over on the transport. And I noted that at about 2:30, when you would be trying to come back to maybe do some of the adventures on the Halcyon, there was maybe a queue of 2 or 3 shuttle rides. So it might take you 20 minutes to 25 minutes to get back. So if you were trying to squeeze it in the high times, that would be morning and evening, and this is pretty much cruise typical, you're not going to be able to do it as fast as you did in other parts of the day. So just factor that into your trying to get things done.
Now, we did bounce back and forth, and that is something that you can do. We went into Batuu, and then we came back onto the Starcruiser because there was an event that we all wanted to experience, and so we came back, and then we ate lunch. You can eat at Docking Bay 7 if you want to, or Ronto Roasters, but you can do that anytime. So I would recommend eating the lunch that they have for you on the Starcruiser, just because it's going to be different and unique.
And it was good. The food was good again. The lunch, I'd call it comfort food. Again, like your typical, peanut butter and jelly in a different way.
I had a caprese salad. I loved that in a different way with the red fruit, like puree.
Tomatoes.
Yes.
Yeah, all that kind of stuff. Another bonus is that you can buy stuff on Batuu and just hand it off to the crew, and they will deliver it to your room. Yahoo, biggest, coolest perk to not have to drag things around on your adventure. And then, some of the things that you can do that you're doing are hacking, scanning, on Batuu, getting information. They tie Smuggler's Run into the story, and they tie Rise of Resistance into the story. So none of the things that you're doing are
extraneous.
That's the perfect word. None are extraneous. It's just part of the adventure. And I don't know, Sarah, anything else on the day in Batuu itself?
I think that was the main point I wanted to make, is that having gone to Batuu so much, we'll ride Rise of the Resistance every once in a while. Our friend has a DOS pass, so we'll sign up for that, eat dinner, and go on Rise of the Resistance for the night. But yeah, having it all lead into a story, and if even just one of your party is paying attention on their data pad, so if you're not techie and you don't want to pay attention, if you have one person in your party paying attention on their data pad, they can do all the things and check in and make sure that your room, like that the Halcyon Starcruiser knows that you have completed your missions, and they'll give you new missions.
Yeah, you got to keep the pad charged, plug in everything at night.
A super hot tip is bring a multi-plug plug that you can plug into their random, the plugs.
If you had a family, you could, in this room that we're in, you could sleep 5. There's no way you could plug in with these plugs all this stuff that you would need to be charged for the morning, right? So you need some splitters.
Let's say everybody had a phone, everybody had a watch, everybody had an extra battery for their phone. There's even just with that, there's not enough plugs.
Plus they have a weird plug arrangement where you can only plug in one in an outlet of 2. It makes no sense.
I know.
At all.
That was like an engineering. Yeah.
Well, yes, depending on the size and shape of your charger block. So I would highly recommend no big Apple charger blocks. You need either the small squares, or you need something that's like a very slim rectangle type charger block that you plug in.
Or just bring bricks that are charged that you can just that are ready to go, because you're. Well, I don't know if it'll always be this way, but they give you a data pad, and everybody has a data pad, and you have your phone. So you're charging 2 things per person that goes on. So it's a lot.
Yeah, it is a lot.
So we want to talk about the adventure. Is there anything? No, I want to talk about the adventures on the Halcyon that sort of lead into the story.
Well, I do want to note that you had mentioned that day 1 is part 1. What is that called?
Act 1.
Act 1. So I think your adventure on Batuu is Act 2.
Absolutely. Spot on.
Yeah.
Spot on, Sarah. That's definitely because then, Act
It's
3
building.
would be your conclusion and all that kind of stuff.
Does that mean sleeping was intermission?
I guess so.
Well, it
Or the
wasn't
potty break.
or it wasn't very long. I'll just say that. It wasn't enough of an intermission.
Yeah, we needed lots of calf on day 2.
Yeah, get up and go. So,
yeah.
So Sarah, what did you what type of things happened on the Halcyon? We're gonna not spoil again, but
Okay.
we're gonna give a flavor of things that are happening in general that were in your venture on the ship.
Okay. Oh, okay. So in general, for some reason, you get little missions in your comm on your data pad, and so Sammy had calmed me quite a bit. And so I had done a few missions on day 1 for him, and I ended up getting a mission on Batuu that none of you guys got from Sammy. Which was I won't say what it is, but basically I had kind of this affinity for Sammy, so that whenever I saw him, not a crush, no, but whenever I saw him on the ship, when he'd appear, I'd be like, yeah, Sammy, and there was I got all emotionally invested in his path.
Yeah, Sammy's not her type. She goes for the older type. Like a wraith, maybe. Or,
No, not into Wraith at all.
I think when there's more out there in the world, we'll have a discussion about why you have an affinity for Sammy, but I know why, and we'll talk about it off the recording.
Okay.
I know exactly why he was your type. Sammy's the mechanic. Just for, out there, people will see Sammy the mechanic.
My comms and events and missions that I had going on weren't updating the same as everyone else's. And I don't know if it was because of the times that I had, things were scheduled for in my data pad. And so it had to wait until it got too close to that time for it to trigger. And I think that might have been what it was. And I wanted it to happen when we were there, because everybody else was on and going and things like that. So I wasn't initially doing as much because I didn't have that coming in. But like I said, we went back to the Starcruiser to eat lunch. And when we came back, it must have been at the right time, because that's when I started getting things onto my data pad, and I started doing some of the missions that I was able to do. And I was like, oh, okay. Because I just thought it was broken. I was like, I think it's broken. But it wasn't. I think it was time locked-ish.
Well, so two thoughts. One is, they said many times in the marketing and the promotion stuff that you get out what you put into it. And that's certainly true with the data pad. Because when Sarah and Richard came, they immediately started filming video. They immediately started taking pictures. They weren't using their data pads hardly at all.
No.
And Tricia and I started exploring the Starcruiser. We were using our data pads. We had 3 missions done before the muster even started. And so, but what that meant was, as the events went further and further along, by the time we got to the afternoon of day 2, we had 4 things on our schedule that were paying off things that we had done previously.
Oh, wow.
Whereas other people only had 1 or 2 because they only had done 1 or 2 things previously. So the more you use the app, the more the app is going to feed you, and the more opportunities. I mean, we had 4 things stacked on each other, starting at 5 o'clock. So that's and then, but again, for some people want to do that. Then there's a lot that you can do. And the other thing I was going to comment on this too is the Starcruiser has about 100 rooms. And so a maximum capacity is probably something in the neighborhood of 350, 400 people. They've constructed a story. They've constructed a narrative. They have to break it up. They're limited to only a handful of opportunities where they can really have all those people in the same room at the same time. So they're deliberately using the data pad as a technique to split people up. Because if too many people have already done one thing, they just won't give you that opportunity. So they've got this. You can just tell from having experienced this. There's a giant flow chart somewhere, right, that shows all the permutations and where they originate and how they fragment, and then it's it would be like a diamond, right? Like it would start small and be huge in the middle, and it tapers back down to all meet again together at the end. And it's really a clever design to that afternoon. I mean, some people are in the bridge, and some people in engineering, and some people in the atrium, and some people are in the climate center. Yeah. And some people are in the lounge, and they're all doing different things that are structured by the story, which is really cool.
Yeah, it's a giant choose your own adventure. If you've ever had those books, I mean, they give you prompts that you choose from, and like based off of your responses, it puts you down that path. It's kind of like, you guys have done those, where you have you have a person, and then you're like, do you like yellow or purple? And then you go, whichever way.
Oh, sorry. And that being said, I want to say that I talked with a woman, I had this bridge ops thing that happened on day 2, and I talked with a woman right afterward, and we talked to each other like, oh, how did you get on? Well, she wasn't using her data pad at all, but she just happened to be sitting in the atrium and basically snuck her way in because she saw people grouping and converging. So she just smuggled herself in. So you can do that too if you're not that technical.
On that note, there was an incident today where I was walking down to dinner. And I don't even know how it happened. I have no idea. But a certain character went by me, and so I was like, So I kind of went to go look. And then before I knew it, I was in the middle of some thing that was going on, and I was in a room, and I was sitting on the floor, and I was like, what? And then, I have no idea how I even ended up in that place. So, that can happen, like you said, where, you sneak yourself in, or it can happen to you like how it happened to me, where I was just being nosy, what's going on over there. And then suddenly I'm being pushed into a place.
So one of the things that people should be aware of is get to know your map of your ship, because you will ultimately explore every little nook and cranny as your little assignments come and happen, and you'll get to be in different places. I ended up in the cargo hold today. Oh. Did any of you guys go in the cargo hold?
I saw it on the first day, but no.
Okay, so I was supposed to. You can also take this interesting route that I took today, which was, I'm tired and I just don't feel like moving, so I'm going to sit in the bar and drink drinks and just chill, which is what I did. And I had, BJ was saying, I had 3 or 4 things that were going on at the same time. And I just was I'm just too tired to do this. And so I just stayed. And I got to see some cool stuff in the sublight lounge that you guys didn't get to see. So I'm just saying, it was worth it, even though I didn't go to the cargo hold like I was supposed to.
Even if you're sitting in the atrium or the sublight lounge, you will see things happen, and you may get enlisted into things so you could participate. So is it time to welcome Richard?
Yeah, Richard's here from Skywalking through Neverland.
Hey, everyone. Oh, I don't want to spoil a character.
No, don't spoil characters.
I won't.
Unless,
I was enlisted to help protect this character from First Order characters, and I did very, very well supporting this character.
So you helped our adventure along.
Yes, very much so, and got this character to safety.
I like it. See, so you and how many people were in your little kind of cluster?
There were 4, and then Sarah joined us because she had to disappear for a couple of minutes because of needs. So
refresher needs.
Refresher needs, yes.
So there's so much happens on this ship. You have no time to go to the bathroom.
It's true. It's a real legit problem.
Yeah. It really, really is. I'm not gonna go there, but let's just say, yeah, it's a problem with not having enough time to do that, because you went to the bathroom at the wrong time, but when is the right time? There's never a right time to go to the bathroom on the Galactic Starcruiser, and that should be their slogan.
Okay, but on that note, yes, that's true. However, if you need to get to your bathroom, it's really not that far away. Like, you can go back to your room. You don't have to use a public restroom. Like, you can get back to your room.
But the 2 minutes I stepped out.
You're still going to miss something.
Yes.
Just by stepping away for 4 steps, like Sarah did. We were literally 15 feet from the room, and look what happened. We got recruited by one of the cast members, me and James Burns and his 2 sons, to go help this specific character whose name I'm not going to mention.
Right. I missed it.
But that's like blink and you miss it type of thing. That's a crazy thing. So one of the things that I thought was worth mentioning is, so those things that you get, like the lightsaber training, and the bridge ops training, those are going to play back. Like, none of that is wasted because it plays back into how you are participating in the story.
It's Chekhov's bridge ops training.
That's a good way to put it. Yes. It's there waiting to be used later on in the story, for sure. But I think that's really cool because it was like, oh, we know how to do all this stuff type thing. So that was really, really cool to kind of just be like, okay, we figured this out. And so the second time bridge ops training, well, when it paid off today, let's just say that BJ and I ran to the station we did really good at. And we said, we know this one. So we're like, oh yeah, we're going to do that one, that part of it. And because we knew we could do it well.
Nothing is a wasted activity. So what you're training with for one thing it's like any kind of story. You introduce something, it's going to pay off in Act 3.
Yeah, even lightsaber training, some of the, the phrases you learn are going to pay off later on.
That was cool.
Yeah, so that's kind of fun. And they're building community and, getting you engaged, not just in your individual story, but kind of your community story and what's happening at the very end. I thought, too, it was kind of neat tonight where they turned the dining room around. So if you're worried, like, the stage is set different ways between day 1 and day 2.
Like, you're seated in the same place.
Yeah.
But the stage is, different.
And they try to make sure that everything on the ship, there's always so if you're in one part of the ship, there's still a thing for you to see. You could get up and move to another part of the ship. The dining room's the same way. It's like it's a theater in the round.
Yes. Yeah. That's
Only
a good.
With more chairs and seats and people with cameras in front of your face.
Well,
a lot of cameras.
Our ship suffered from that for obvious reasons.
Yeah. Yesterday I bumped into Gaia. And on video she made a comment, but I didn't get it until after she said it. It's like, wait, I don't know who you're talking to. It's like, oh, she's talking to me. It was one of those off-the-cuff remarks, and I don't think anyone else got it, but it's like, oh, sorry.
I have to say that the cast and crew, the characters that you're going to meet, are very good at reacting on the fly. We had some really
improv.
Yes, we had some really eager children, which Sarah and Richard might be used to dealing with, that really wanted to participate and really wanted to help fight the bad guys, and they were a little over enthusiastic. And for the part that we were with the cruise director, she was very good at bringing them back into the game, and because they wanted to just go do it and get it done, and she's like, well, we have to do this step before we get to the next step. So they were very good with kids.
On the kid note, I was sitting in the sublight lounge, as you guys can probably tell I did a lot, and a kid runs in and he goes, we have a problem in the engineering room, we need help, y'all need to come. And he just runs away, and we all went, okay. And like nobody got up. It was so funny. And I was just like, yeah, kiddo, you get it.
One kid in a little Grogu costume was tearing up and crying because of the bad guys. There's bad guys.
Oh,
it's like, oh.
I did see that.
Yeah.
So that might be something if you have a kid.
Yeah,
who can...
this child was about 3 years old.
Oh, yeah.
And if they've been to Galaxy's Edge, they'll may have seen the stormtroopers walking around, or even like a Comic-Con. I see little kids at Comic-Cons all the time, and even at Galaxy's Edge. But this kid was just not used to it this close.
I would say you definitely would have to, if you have kids that, get overstimulated or get scared by this kind of stuff, I would seriously consider, and talk to somebody at Disney before, because there's no time to just like pull away or to get, I'm sure they can accommodate it, but it would functionally end your adventure if, that would just be hard for a lot of kids. Cause that's what I was thinking, if they're special needs kids, or I don't know how, maybe they'll be able to do it in certain ways, but I don't know how in a normal cruise like this, how that could happen without really special care. Cause there's a lot going on.
A tip I have is, and I think we kind of talked about it last night, but don't be afraid to, when you're in large groups, to interact with the characters very loudly, because there was a certain character that I enjoyed antagonizing, and today the response I got from that character just about killed me. I was laughing so hard, and I wish we had gotten it on video. We didn't, but it was kind of classic. And so don't be afraid to do that, because it makes everything better.
I wanted to talk a little bit too about, people say, what are we going to wear? Like, what are you going to wear to this adventure? So you could go into I'm going to be a character and get the whole, kind of cosplay. We've seen Twi'lek passenger, and a lot of passengers who might use like markings. We see, I think he's Chiss.
Oh,
the Pantor.
She's like the cat.
He's Pantoran.
Oh,
okay.
We have seen someone who's done makeup for her forehead. It looks like almost kind of a Barris Offee type character.
Yeah, Disney cast member.
Well, I know that, but I'm just saying, like, as a person who goes on the ship, you can choose to be a character like that. Like, you can dress up as much as you want as an adult here, which is nice.
Yes. And also, you could just choose to be a cruise passenger and just give yourself a wee little bit of sort of galaxy far, far away flair. You can definitely purchase stuff, as Richard's sitting in his nice little jacket that will give you a little merch here as you get on board. That'll give you kind of that flair that says it. But just you don't have to. If you're worried about that, you can do it as little as possible, or amp it up.
You can be as minimalistic as you want. You can wear a black vest and a white shirt, black pants, you're Han Solo. You can wear a robe, you're a Jedi. And there's a lot of those people who just didn't want to go way out, but like, hey, I have got this in my closet. This is what I'm going to wear. Now I'm in the story.
Perfect.
Yeah, so what I kind of did is I sort of did like a half and half type of thing. I brought mostly shirts that are solid colors, and I brought kind of more earthy tone and like black pants, and then I just sort of mixed and matched with that. And I happen to have like the Ray cold shoulder cardigan, and stuff like that. Now, if you don't have that, then you could get just like a tan cardigan, or bring like a solid color scarf, or something like that. It doesn't have to be an all out thing. And I wasn't bounding, because I wasn't bounding as any character. I just sort of went with kind of just earthy tones, because I've been to Batuu before, and that's kind of like the colors that they sort of wear. So I went that route. But then you have people wearing Iron Man shirts and that aren't dressed up at all. And so you can totally do that too. And I mean, like, we kind of go, at least the three of us, we kind of go a little bit in with our makeup and our hair and stuff, because we enjoy it and it's something that we like doing. It really simple. I mean, if you want to do something with your hair, girls, when you come on here, just put some braids in your hair. Not even big braids. They can be just like small little skinny braids, and boom.
Or the Ray buns. just to put your hair,
or like just, like a half up, half down messy bun, and you fit like right in.
Yep.
Also a fun thing to do, because you're on a cruise ship and your cabin is right nearby, you can change as much as you want, as the story allows, really. But like, I know for the evenings, many of us, we dressed up. We got a little glitzier and had little fun outfits. Like tonight, I was wearing what I call Amidala flapper.
Yeah, we had like dresses, knee-length dresses, but there were full-length. There were
sequin dresses.
Yes.
Full-length dresses, like beautiful. And the jewelry, like, oh yes, people got glammed up for the evening.
So you can go the whole way if you want to do it. Another thing, again, I think a reminder, we brought it up, but those data ports around the ship, they're your friends during this whole adventure. Go plug in, check what's going on, see if you can steal some things or tune something, scan something. I would say one of the best things to do before you come on is come to the parks if you could and use the Disney Play app. You can do most of the things that you have to do on this in Batuu and learn how some of the skills to hack and scan and all those things that will help you move along in your adventure. And it would be very helpful. I know I'm not as good at it, like tuning to a frequency. So like you have to kind of get in the right spot on the map, then twirl around. And then once you get there, then you have to rotate up to vertical. So there's a lot with your phones or your data pads. So there's a lot of things going on. We'll try to put some little videos up of that. So if people need, sneak peeks, we did record some of that stuff so you could see like this is how we do it without spoiling the whole adventure, but just sort of like how to, because I think that would be really helpful.
So we kind of did this on day 1, but maybe we should do it for day 2. Your like favorite thing that happened today on day 2.
Should we go into spoilers now?
No, non-spoilery.
No, non-spoilery, just, your favorite thing that happened on day 2. For me, and I think this is kind of a unique experience, but building my lightsaber today as a part, not doing it before when I just came to visit Galaxy's Edge, but doing it in conjunction with the immersiveness of the Starcruiser made it feel crazy immersive. And I know it already is immersive, but I think it was even more so enhanced because of that. And so if you haven't built a lightsaber, I would recommend doing it as a part of your stay on the Halcyon.
Right now, what's coming to mind is in lightsaber training that we did today, and Tricia, you and BJ did yesterday. But in lightsaber training, there was a moment, like you're in a group of about, what I would say 20, 25 people. And so you each, like 4 at a time, get a chance to use your lightsaber or a shield. And so, but at one point, it's kind of like Ollivander's wand, where they pick one person that gets to, choose the wand chooses you. Well, in this case, one person gets to defend. And I was that one person. And I really felt the force in that moment. And
Yoda spoke to you.
Yeah, and I got very teary. So it was really cool.
We've been to Galaxy's Edge I don't know how many times. And every time we pass by Droid Depot, it's like, not today. Well, today was the day because of Teresa gave us her droid voucher, and we were able to build a droid finally. Secretly, I can say that I've always wanted an R5 unit that was orange and black because those are the Halloween colors. So now we need a name for this droid. I was thinking R5 1031 for Halloween, right? October 31st. If anyone has got any other ideas, our ears are open. We want to get some suggestions, but R5 1031.
R5B00.
R5 Boo. So Teresa, once again, thank you very much for letting us adopt a droid.
Well, and I just want to say that was probably another one of my favorite parts, because I've already done that, and you guys filmed me doing it. And it was amazing when you guys did that back when Galaxy's Edge opened. And so I enjoyed the look on your face today, and I enjoyed watching you guys get to pick your parts for your droid. And, you know, Richard is being really nice, and he was like, well, do you want to build it now? And I'm like, absolutely not. Like, you guys need to build your baby. It. And so I'm so glad that you guys got to have that experience, because y'all haven't done that. And I was like, I'm getting to give them something that they haven't done before.
Wait, you're like, it's God, mommy.
Yeah.
So, and I'm going to be its other God, mommy. And so we want video, like.
Okay, so what's funny about that is that when I built my droid, the one that I have at home, and TS-19, I think is its name, Sarah was helping me pick the parts and everything, and you know, we kind of went through it together like as one, which is why it's TS-19, because there's significance behind the numbers and stuff. And so she's my droid's godmommy, and so now I'm their droid's godmommy.
And we expect birthday cards every year.
Okay, we could do that.
Yeah, if you want to see Teresa's building her droid, it's on the Skywalking Through Neverland YouTube channel.
Woo-hoo!
Soon to be on the Richard's droid building too.
Oh, you could put a link to.
Yes. Link to R5 Boo.
Yes.
R5 Boo.
R5 Boo, yeah. I love that. I've always just wanted the black and orange R5 unit.
And that worked out because there was only very few droid parts available today.
Choices, and those are two of the choices.
And the only BB head you could get was the BB hate. BB hate.
Mm-hmm. I didn't like it.
I was like, I wanted the regular head. So I'm trying to think, what was my favorite thing, non-spoilery? Okay, it's not a secret that the sequel trilogy isn't my favorite of the trilogies, and I think that this sort of helped me find a moment in it that I really enjoyed, that had the emotional heft in a Star Wars setting that you can look back on it, because as an original trilogy fan, there's moments for me that that really mean something, that are precious, that are inspiring. And prequel trilogy, there's that too as well. It's a different tone, but the sequel trilogy, I couldn't really sit into it after The Force Awakens, and this gave me a moment. So if the sequel, I know some people are gonna be like, oh well, not the sequel trilogy. Well, maybe if you come. I think by the time you get invested in the story, and I think that was the problem always with the sequel trilogies, that it didn't know for me where it wanted to be, and I couldn't invest in it. And this gives you a way to invest in it, and more importantly, to invest in Batuu.
Right, and there's plenty of characters here that aren't a part of the sequel trilogy, that are their own characters that you get invested in, because they do a really good job of doing that.
And it's really not a sequel trilogy story, right? In the sense that it's a bunch of original characters on a Star Cruiser. And so, anyway. So my favorite moment is, what was it? Let's see, from today, right? I liked how they paid off the stuff from day one and day two. And it's hard to talk about how without getting into spoilers. But we got to do several things on day two that built on things that we had done in day one. And so that was just the sort of the clever story design of it was really fun, because it was sort of like, okay.
Yeah, I can honestly say, Matt Martin from the story group and from Lucasfilm, he was the, kind of story engineer on this. Like, that was sort of his job. And now he didn't obviously put all the parts together, but getting that kind of cleverness into the story, I think they did a really good job with, because I wasn't sure how they were going to do that, and the way they did it was really, really cool.
I think at some point we'll probably do kind of a breakdown of how they build this story, because there is still a very classic Star Wars kind of, all the archetypes are in there, and all the classic Star Wars archetypes. And I also want to applaud them because we have talked about from the beginning about diversity and inclusion. And I would say if you wanted to rate the score, it got a 10 out of 10 for hitting the markers and being inclusive and giving all sorts of types of people their story.
I just remembered my highlight of the day. My highlight of the day was Richard interacting with one of our cast members at dinner in a manner that was so hilarious that the poor man could not maintain character and was just laughing and laughing and laughing. Like, it was just the best. It was at the dessert party. It was just the funniest thing. Yeah.
What happened? Remind me. Yeah. But what?
But you were
when you said something with your timing.
You were so the short version is we were trying to determine how late the Sublight Lounge was open. And we asked him how late it was open. And this led to a whole conversation about who was getting drinks and whose tabs.
Oh, yes.
And all sorts of things like this. And the poor cast member, by the end of this 2-minute conversation, could not maintain character because he was laughing so hard. Yeah. And it was an absolutely hilarious moment. It was the best moment of the day.
Well, the fact that I can make your top moment makes me really happy. Thank you, BJ.
We were all punchy, even the cast members at that point.
Yes. And his name was D. You won't miss D.
D was great. Thanks, D, for giving us some laughable moments, too, down in engineering.
Do we want to give a shout-out to cast members?
Yeah. Okay, Charity, our tour guide. Ranger in Sublight Lounge. She's my awesome friend. Crystal, who was in the Sublight Lounge, but also in the Crown of Corellia dining room.
With a K.
Crystal with a K, yes. And I'm going to also say Emily, because she did a really good job of dealing with Richard at one point today. She was fabulous.
So one of the characters we interacted with on Batuu was Blake.
Yes.
Who had a very elaborate backstory for himself and why he works at Oga's Cantina. And it was really he was very, very good.
And Blake was a good example of how we were treated differently than some other people, because Blake was in charge of checking in people to Oga's and basically turning people away from Oga's. But when we walked up, he had a whole different line of conversation for us.
We flashed him the pin.
Yeah.
Oh, Halcyon Star Cruiser. Okay.
Right this way.
Yeah, and you're going to get to know Blake if you're doing your adventure. Jazz did the cocktail creation, and shout out to Keely with the three eyes, Keely in the Sublight Lounge, who was fabulous bringing they didn't really advertise this really well, but you could get the special souvenir glasses with 2 different drinks. So if you guys are into that, definitely ask the bartending staff or the wait staff about that. So
that was not advertised at all.
What was the other one? We have the Mustafar.
It was the goblet that we got by itself. You could buy a drink and get that same goblet.
You could buy the goblet in the store without a drink, or you could buy it with a Dagobah.
Slug Slinger, I think. Is that what it is? Which is not my favorite.
If we're still shouting out people, you'll notice different colored coats too. There's like a lighter blue colored coat, and those are sort of the leaders of the passenger services, and the regular passenger services crew members have like on a royal blue. But I want to shout out Edgar, because he was awesome. He helped me with some stuff today, and it was really cool. I was touched.
I want to give a shout out to everybody. Every single cast member was nothing less than an A+ performer. Their hospitality position was phenomenal. Everything they did was just perfect and on point. And I've never felt more special in my life other than my wedding day. And they were on top of everything. I tried to trip one of them up just to see how far I could get going out of universe. Nope, not a bit. They were 3 steps ahead of me.
And you can really tell from this experience that they auditioned the cast members for this. I mean, we had heard that they were doing that, right? That they were when they were hiring for the Star.
But there's the cast members, but then there's also there's the performers, but then there's like the waiters or the wait staff or people in the bar or people just walking around in the atrium looking to see if anyone needs any help.
Well, that's what I mean. They auditioned everybody, right? Like this was not something where they just pulled people from like, oh, you've been working at the yacht club, come over here work on the Halcyon, right?
No.
This was they selected these people because they, demonstrated that they had the talent to work on this kind of job.
Absolutely. And if you're used to Disney entertainment, the actual performers for this, they are steps above the normal Disney entertainment. I mean, these people they got actors, and people who know improv and people who, it was just stunning, honestly.
Yeah, special shout out to obviously the people who are playing the characters that had to work harder at this than anything else. And they're not just doing their show, they're coming down into the audience and having to mingle and talk and set up and get your name and remember people's names. They were remembering people's names during all this. And my special shout out to the stunt performers. And that's kind of all. And to the people who helped design the whole finale. So we're not going to spoil anything on that other than I think that the last thing we could say before we go on to our spoilery little favorite moments is that it ends in a Disney way.
Yes, it does. It brings it all back to Disney.
So you will conclude your story in a way that if you went to a Disney park, you would feel that it was an appropriate ending for a long day at the park. And that's and kudos to them for bringing it all around.
Yes. All right, so now it's time for a spoilery discussion.
Say spoiler warning.
This is your spoiler warning.
Beep, beep. Hold on.
Okay, so we're going to talk about one thing each that we thought was our cool moment. If you go to 2 and, pull a Teresa and give more than the rule, you're allowed to. So, any volunteers for the first person that has their thing that they want to say was really cool?
Well, I guess mine would be the thing that sort of happened to me. Like I wasn't trying for it to happen to me. Ray runs by me, like in the hallway, straight up running. And I'm like, oh. And I was like, well, where is she going? Let me follow her. And so I followed her. And then one of the Saha or whatever, the people who help train you in lightsaber training or whatever, just sort of grabbed me. And then I was in this room. And I was like, I'm supposed to be at dinner, but sure. Sit on the floor, sit right here. Okay. Like I just did when they told me to do it. I had no idea what I was doing. But yeah, I was just, Ray ran by and I'm like, well, there goes somebody I want to see. So let me go look.
Amazing. I just thought of mine. And it's a small moment. But today, on a transport back from Batuu, we had a crew member put in a case into our transport and said, can you guys take care of this? Make sure it gets back to, the Starliner, the Starline, what's it called? the cruise ship. Yeah, can you make sure this gets back to the Galactic Starcruiser and into the hands of the first crew member you see? And so it did, and there was only like maybe 5 of us on this transport back. And so that case, that's all we saw of it. And then we went about our day, did a bunch of stuff. And then later on, we had something added to our schedule, which was meeting Lenka Mock, who is our cruise director, in the engineering room. And all of a sudden, that case showed up in there. It was so cool. And she opened it up, and it ended up being things that we needed to use to help further the story on the ship. And I was like freaking out that something that seemed just a small moment paid off so much later.
The best thing about that is that box was filled with data tapes.
Yes!
Data
tapes.
tapes.
Exactly like the data tapes from Rogue One.
Take it! Take it!
It was so cool!
I just thought, you know what? This trip could end right now. Just this is the appearance of these data tapes, and I'm good. I'm good. Now, for anyone going, I don't get it. Well, in Star Wars, it's all on. Since the original trilogy was made in the 70s and 80s, everything was on tape. So in Star Wars, you'll hear Darth Vader talking about the data tapes, the data transmissions, and now in Rogue One we get to see this case that had an actual like a celluloid tape in it, and so they're bringing that back. They're tying this era into the original era, using the whole technology and even looking around at the control boards around the ship. They are very much Episode 4. Extremely Episode 4. So yeah, look at that at the case. And even in the beginning, when we got here, one of the first missions was to guard one of those those bell carts full of luggage. Well, that luggage plays in later on because that's all Gaia's stuff. Mm-hmm. If you've seen this season of the Marvelous Mrs. Maisel, when she travels, she has like a cab full of her luggage, because hat boxes? Yes, hat boxes and luggage and an outfit for every hour of the day. Well, they just think, well, how can you smuggle in stuff when you're a pop star diva? Well, pop star divas got so much luggage that you can hide stuff in there. And so if you're going to take this cruise and you see this big bell cart full of multicolored pieces of luggage, keep an eye on that.
It's straight out of The Fifth Element. The diva smuggling the important information onto the Star Cruiser.
I was trying to go with Mrs. Maisel, but you know what? The Fifth Element works too.
I mean, it's just so funny. It was like, yep, that's it. Diva with her stuff. She even has a very similar dress.
I alluded to this earlier, but I actually enjoyed that Rey and Kylo Ren were only in part of the cruise for about 10 minutes. I think that makes it really effective. And there's a droid who's not R2-D2. And there's a captain who's not a character we've ever heard of before. And there's a cruise director who's not a character we've ever heard of. And the Sammy, the mechanic, is not secretly revealed to be like Poe Dameron's brother or something, right? Like it's just...
That's true.
It's just these original characters. And so I thought that was... I was waiting because, like, we've been... people have always been skeptical, like how Star Wars has trouble sometimes going away from the iconic characters. Now, Batuu, to be fair, this works with Batuu because Batuu has been very good about not relying too much on movie characters. So, I mean, it fits with that. But I was always sort of wondering the whole time, like, okay, are they gonna really lean? The way Rise of Resistance kind of does have Finn and Rey and Poe and Hux and Kylo Ren in it. Anyway, so there's that. So yeah, I really enjoyed that. But in terms of spoilers, I just really enjoyed Rey kicking Kylo Ren's ass. That was my favorite.
Okay.
Well, before we go there, just the whole trip, I was like, when are we going to see Rey's lightsaber? When are we going to see this actual lightsaber that we've been seeing for months or years in all the promo clips? When will they see that? You see the Rey's when she ignites her lightsaber, it's the real extending lightsaber, but she does it kind of in a corner. So if you're not looking at her, you're going to miss it. So when Rey makes her appearance at the conclusion of the show, just keep your eye as soon as she comes on. As soon as you hear her voice, just narrow in on her because it doesn't take that long for her to ignite the lightsaber, and if you miss it, you miss it.
It's a really expensive piece of technology that they developed and showed off, but it's literally in the show for all of like 5 seconds, probably.
Yeah.
By the time she turns it on and then it goes down, she puts it down on the floor and then picks it. We're not supposed to see the sleight of hand, and there is a lot of sleight of hand going on at the end. But yeah, it's literally up and down. So if you don't see it, and when she comes through the door, you are not seeing that magical, cool real lightsaber.
Watch all the videos so you'll know exactly where she is, because if you're in the wrong part of the atrium, and there are bad seats in the atrium, that if you're not in a place where you can see her, then you will miss it.
Center of the atrium.
Center, yes,
The closer to the center you can get, and they're keeping this very center open for the actors to go. The cast
there's like a runway strip for the actors to go up and down.
But as close as you can get to the center, the better.
Awesome. Best tip ever.
Yep. And for me, first of all, I want people who've stayed here, let's pay off why you liked Sammy.
Okay, yeah.
Okay,
you made a comment earlier.
Sammy is Han Solo archetype in the story. He's a reluctant member. He doesn't participate fully in the Resistance initially, like Han Solo, and he comes around and ends up in the stormtrooper attire, just like Han Solo does, and gets swept up into it. So that is why you had an affinity to Sammy. Yeah,
it makes a lot of sense.
He's a very likable character.
Yeah, I think, but he isn't always into it, but he kind of comes into the.
Where Han is very smug, Sammy's got the Luke Skywalker nativity.
Yeah, he's like a combination of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Naivete.
Thank you.
But if you've been listening to Fangirls Going Rogue, and you know that I have a Poe obsession, me and Teresa's mommy, we fight over him often. So it pays off a little bit that you go on Rise of Resistance and know that Poe's down there and he's come and swooped in and tried to help you before. And if you go into the bridge operation on the second day, you get to see Poe come and kind of give you some pep talk and fight. And you get to see Hondo Anaka, a spaceship, and all that pay off too in that little adventure. So that was kind of fun.
Other characters that you see on video, R2 and 3PO. Yes. R2-D2 and C-3PO are on the bridge. So when you're fighting the First Order as they're attacking the ship, you get messages from different Rebel pilots and R2 and 3PO. Oh, that was probably my favorite moment.
So this continues into my favorite moment because it's all a part of it. And getting to see a holocron open and a hologram of Master Yoda come up, and it looked so real. It was like, I don't know, it got me. I mean, it took my breath away almost. And then, they want you to channel your energy and all this stuff. And I honestly did it. I closed my eyes and was like trying to feel my own natural energy and all this other stuff. And it was like, you gave you the tinglies, I didn't cry, but I got the tinglies.
This is not confirmed, but I'm going to guess it was Frank Oz.
It is Frank Oz.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
It is Frank Oz.
Nice.
It is confirmed.
Only his voice gives me the tinglies, too.
Okay.
Well, when was that confirmed?
By people. But
that's rock solid.
It was confirmed to me directly by people
who worked on it.
Hold up in court.
No.
People who worked on it.
I think that's going to wrap up this kind of podcast first episode. We'll probably be talking more about it as things come. We want to just give people flavor and a vibe. Want to give a special shout out to Richard for a lot of camera work.
Yes.
A lot of camera work. We are blessed to have his help on this, getting it done. We appreciate that. And on the data pad side, BJ breaking it down, and he's done some videos and showed all of us how to get some of that stuff done faster. And we want to thank you as well. And we will be having our highlight video out, and we're each going to take a little bit to try to give people little things that we liked in different ways, maybe Reels or Instagram, some articles. There'll be some articles on FANgirl Blog. There are going to be some YouTube content and podcast and stuff on Fangirls Going Rogue. And Sarah and Richard, you want to say what you guys are, you'll be on Skywalking Through Neverland, some stuff.
Yeah, we're going to do some more videos, probably of like full shows and things on Skywalking Through Neverland. Mm-hmm. And also...
And we for the Skywalkers, we're going to be doing some food videos. We had to eat a lot of food just for you Skywalkers. Wow, yeah, I know. You're welcome.
And Richard ate his food really late because he was recording full awesome shows that he's going to put up there. So you guys, he really did suffer for the art in this case.
And then I also want to give a shout out to Disney for reaching out to us and inviting us here for this media preview. I think we all were kind of in the mindset of that we wouldn't be on a media preview, mainly because it was getting so close to the time that it was getting ready to open to the public. And I mean, we were fine with that. But the nice surprise and delight of getting the opportunity to be here with all of the things that they've done for us as media that they absolutely didn't have to do was just amazing. So thank you to the Walt Disney World Special Events team and the Disney Parks team and the Disney PR team and all the Disney teams.
And I think, too, we'll probably utilize the Fangirls Going Rogue Zoom chat to give people an opportunity if they want to give us a direct, kind of ask specific questions, because it would be nice to know, I think, and maybe the Skywalkers will do it too, is to know what you guys want to know is happening, or send us an email, but reach out to us individually in any of the ways that you can and tell us what you want to know about, because that helps us gauge, like, what's your questions? What do you want to know more about? And we'll try to answer those questions.
Absolutely. And if it's a question that is kind of spoilery for the general public, being me, my type of person, then we will try to get back to you directly versus posting something that goes to the broad audience, just because we don't want to spoil things for other people. But we will answer your questions to the best of our ability.
All right. And with that...
Yub.
Best journey.
Best journey.
Ignite the spark.
Light the fire.
Visit us over at fangirlsgoingrogue.com. For social media, you can find us at the following: Fangirls Going Rogue at FG Going Rogue on Twitter and Instagram, Tricia at Fangirl Cantina, Teresa at Ice Cold Penguin, Sarah at Jedi Tink, Sandra at Geek Chic 9, Kai at Yogi Kai. You can find BJ at Red Penablex and Richard at Sith Rich. If you want to leave us a voicemail, 331-21-EWOKs or 331-213-9657. Send us an email, contact@fangirlsgoingrogue.com. For Facebook, just type Fangirls Going Rogue. And if you want to join our private Facebook group, you will have to answer 3 questions. Please go to Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen to podcasts and leave a positive 5-star review. We need your reviews so more people can find us. Also be sure to check out our YouTube video of a brief highlight reel of our experience. That's up now. You can find that at fangirlsgoingrogue.com.